Yeah, and Pepsi tastes like mold.
Well, I'm just gonna warn you right now. Like, I might walk off camera every once in a while just to like grab something to drink or something like that, or put on some tea.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or a bowl of yogurt. Jesus.
Bowl of yogurt.
Like it could be a variety of things, but I know that it hit me like about 4 hours ago. I was out shopping and holy smokes. I'm not a fan of public restrooms, but they are handy.
In a pinch.
Pinching was happening.
Those are always the best times because you're just like, someone's gonna come in here, they're gonna hear. I don't give a goddamn. It's not until I leave that I'm concerned. Exactly. Is the person who was in here gonna still be in here, or is there gonna be anyone in here when I'm getting out of the stall?
Yeah, this is me living in the here and now. I don't care what's going on out there.
Yeah. And as long as no one comes in while you were doing it, you should be okay to scoot by.
All right. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the promo off and start my song.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you are.
I love this switch. It's just click, done. Promo off, song starts. It's beautiful. Back to another exciting episode of What the Fuck Are They Talking About? I am your host, Elijah. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at WTFATTA. You can find us on Facebook, the WTFATTA podcast. You can go to the website to find past episodes, better descriptions, more information on the cast and crew on the website, WTFATTA.blogspot.com. And if you got any comments, questions, concerns, or you just want to shoot the shit, email us, WTFATTApodcast@gmail.com.
Of the Flipside Radio Show, the podcast where we're broadcasting across Canada, in British Columbia and Ontario, and of course out to you wherever you are in this incredible world of ours that we call our little blue rock, third rock from the sun, and all the other weird country music songs.
That was a great show.
Eli. Yeah, it was a good show. Joining me once again is Eli, and as always, you can get in on the conversation as we are streaming live right now on Twitch, YouTube, as well as on Mixer under either WTFATTA or the Media Jack. Oh, yeah. That like winded me right there.
Yeah, you're not feeling so well, but you powered through that like a champ. You're wearing the World's Gym for like a good reason. Is it World's Gym? Gold's Gym. Yeah, no, it is World Gym.
This is World Gym. Yeah, I go to Gold's Gym, but World Gym is where I went to when I lived in Grand Prairie.
It's definitely showing, man. I mean, you've been working the chest.
I have never skipped leg day either, so just to clarify that.
Good. When I used to go to the gym, it's been a while.
Yeah.
I used to get a kick out of the guys who were just jacked out to the sides, and itty bitty chicken legs.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the weird thing too, is that like I don't know what I've done over the years. But when I've worked out, I've never skipped leg day. But when I started going to the new gym here in Prince George, Gold's Gym, I got complimented on my calf muscles.
All right.
Yeah, just on random, like, dude, your calf muscles look ripped, man. Like, thanks. Okay, you know, what do you like? I guess. Thank you. What do you like? What do you do? How do you take that? Honestly.
Give it the Garth response.
Thank you.
Exactly. I love you, man.
Yeah. Thank
No,
you.
I love you.
Yeah.
No, I love you. Damn it, Garth, save me. Fucking Dana Carvey was perfect for that
Oh,
role.
he was. I mean, well, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey wrote those roles for each other, right? So yeah, it makes sense.
That's fair. This
Well-
man blows goats. I have proof.
Yeah.
I must have watched that scene so many times the tape broke.
Yeah. A few things to get to, but yeah, like I'm definitely feeling under the weather. Something hit me like 4 hours ago, and it was not good. It was not fun whatsoever, and I'm hoping it's just because I ate at a restaurant I've never eaten at before, and I thought I'd get something like it was above board and something that's not going to mess it with my diet too much. But I think I might have overdid it. And it could just be the fact that I've been eating so healthy for such a long time that this was such a step outside of my normal diet that my system just did not accept it. And I'm not laying blame on Carl's Jr., which is the restaurant I went to. Oh. I'm not at 100% at all. We were kind of reminiscing a little bit about just like gross food stories and stomach reactions or whatever. There was one time I was living in Abbotsford, which is the lower mainland of British Columbia, and I went to go visit my grandmother who lived in 100 Mile House, which was about a 6-hour drive. And I went to my grandmother's place and stayed with her for like 4 or 5 days, and then on my way back hit a convenience store, and it's like, you know what, I don't want to stop too often, so I'll just grab a few things to eat on the way. And one of the things I grabbed, and I know it was the culprit because everything else was packaged, was a sausage roll. Oh man, I consumed that thing about an hour and a half outside, no, 2 hours outside of my final destination, which was Abbotsford, and the last hour was a race to get home. I was weaving in and out of traffic in my 1981 six-cylinder Firebird to race home because I knew that what was going to happen in the bathroom was not going to be quiet, nor peaceful, nor respectful in any way, shape, or form. It was one of those situations where, you're sitting on a toilet, not to get too graphic, but you're sitting on a toilet and you're leaning over to the bathtub because it is coming out omnidirectional.
I'm picturing a scene in Austin Powers. Who does number 2 work for?
No, there was no argument there. I was employed at that point in time. Holy Christ. Anyway, so yeah, like I might step over, grab like a cup of tea or something like that. But I'm able to, like, I had some soup earlier and I was feeling a little bit better. I had a quieter video game live stream a little while ago. It's just me sitting in front of the TV on the couch playing some Final Fantasy X. So it's been just a mild, quiet day.
I am excited about the fact that they've remade Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, they're still working on that, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing the original through and through, and fuck, there was a lot you could do in that game. That game was incredible. You could play snowboarding, like there's a whole bunch of other fucking... That snowboarding blew me away.
Well, Final Fantasy VII is what brought Final Fantasy like strong to the mainstream, because before then it was a very, very niche market. Not saying it wasn't popular. It was just like there was only the diehards and the people who were moderately curious about it who got into it and understood it. Final Fantasy VII is what brought it to another level of mainstream.
Yeah, and well, the storyline in Final Fantasy VII was just amazing.
Yes. From what I can remember.
Yeah. Final Fantasy VIII dropped the fucking ball. I'm so mad at that game.
That was Squall. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That was Squall.
Yeah, where you could have the Guardians, and
yeah.
they had a whole different style. You had to upgrade your main weapon, so you had to go hunting for shit. Which at that time I was not a person who liked to go hunting for shit.
And I do remember playing Final Fantasy VIII, and I honestly thought graphically it was better.
Oh yeah, phenomenally.
Yeah, and that was the big difference between Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, which I was a big fan of.
Final Fantasy VIII set the stage visually.
Yes, it did. And then Final Fantasy IX came out, and I dropped that thing like it was on fire. You know what? I'm gonna get into a debate with someone about this during a video series. But Final Fantasy IX, I played maybe a couple of hours into it, and I just remember like looking at my significant other at the time, going, "What is this shit?" Because I could not get around. I could not, first of all, get behind the main character. Although it was visually stunning, I could not get behind the main character. And I distinctively remember the targeting system being the most weirdest, most obscure, and fucking out of nowhere thing ever. Where instead of my character is going to fight this character, okay, so now my character is now facing this character straightforward. No, in Final Fantasy IX, it was this weird raindrop fucking whoop. I'm attacking that person, boop, and that person is attacking me, and it happened every single fucking time. It was weird. It was freaking weird.
Yeah, honestly, after Final Fantasy VII, they just continually dropped the ball. Final Fantasy I was fun. Final Fantasy III was, at the time, amazing. Same thing with Final Fantasy VII. I've played the other Final Fantasies, the Japanese versions.
Really?
There was nothing spectacular there.
Really?
It was essentially just better graphics and kind of like a remake of the other Final Fantasy versions that were popular.
Well, what was Final Fantasy I was not necessarily Final Fantasy I in North America.
Okay, yeah, fair. No. Final Fantasy I is the same one. It's Final Fantasy III that's different. Final Fantasy III, I believe, is actually technically Final Fantasy VI.
I got a headache, dude.
Like they went through a whole bunch of iterations. Or no, sorry, I think Final Fantasy III is actually Final Fantasy IV.
Okay.
Anyways, it's Final Fantasy III is the one that isn't in the proper order. But
Okay.
Final Fantasy I is the same one that was the Japanese version, just ported to America.
Well, I'm currently rocking Final Fantasy X, and what happened? I enjoy Final Fantasy X because of the fact that this is the first time that they've incorporated voice acting, and anyone who knows me knows that I am very much an audiophile. So you incorporate voice acting, even if it's mediocre. If it's the one that broke the mold, then I'm still on board. I enjoy playing Final Fantasy X, and also Final Fantasy X is the first time where, when it ended, I wanted more. Like you could go back and play it again if you want to, but I wanted more because the ending left a cliffhanger.
Yes, it did.
And so I wanted more of that, and so like when Final Fantasy X-2 came out, they changed a bunch of things, and they changed the battle system, they changed the upgrading system. They made a few things, in my opinion, better, and it drop the fucking ball, and literally the ball on a couple of things, one of them being the minigame Blitzball. I enjoy playing Blitzball in Final Fantasy X, and then they just half-assed it in Final Fantasy X-2, to which it was nothing more than a simulation. And
I remember the first one, and that was fun.
Yeah. So, anyway, then you get to...
They also, they brought in, what was it, you could do an overkill. or like an overpowered attack or something like that.
Well, they had overkills in Final Fantasy X. And they rolled it over into Final Fantasy X-2. What the fuck was Final Fantasy XI?
I after 10, I kind of lost interest.
Final Fantasy XI was the online one.
Yes.
Yeah, and I checked out of that one immediately. Final Fantasy 12. Which one was that one? Like, I can't even think of the characters.
You know, we're forgetting perhaps one of the best of all time.
What's that?
Final Fantasy Tactics.
See, I never played any of them.
Oh,
they confused me.
That one.
There was no number attached to them. what
That's fair.
Where do I throw this in? Because there's no. Yeah. So what? Okay, please enlighten me. What is Final Fantasy Tactics?
So it was essentially still a turn-based, but rather than it being an open world, it was the staggered stage kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And the battles were essentially it was kind of like a big game of chess. That's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah, big game of chess, and then you could have terrain that could get involved. So you cross on a bridge, they could light the bridge on fire, your guy falls off.
Really?
And climb up on a rock. Yeah. Like they put a lot of thought into it. The characters themselves. I mean, you had fire mages. You had mages themselves. If it wasn't a healer, it could do like fire magic. The Fyra and Fyraga, the common magic.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, right? Did you ever play Jeanne d'Arc on the PSP?
No.
Okay. Well, both games had a similar kind of like player hero structure where each hero had essentially different special abilities. If you were a physical fighter, a rogue, a mage, so on and so forth, and then you had your other non-hero characters that you would accumulate throughout the time. It was pretty much D&D.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really was pretty much D&D, but the Dungeon Master was a computer.
Yeah, fair enough. It's going to piss me off.
Yeah,
now.
I hadn't considered that. That's very astute.
Final.
Did you ever play Dungeons and Dragons on original Nintendo?
No, God, no. I was so out of it at that point in time. Final Fantasy 12. Yeah, there's another one I checked out of. Holy crap. It's a bunch of characters I don't even recognize.
Yeah, they kind of just once they went away from materia, they lost me really. Like that was such a cool concept.
Released back in 2006, it's the 12th title in the mainline Final Fantasy series. The game introduced several innovations in the series, such as an open world with seamless battle system, controllable camera, and a customizable gambit system. I don't know.
Gambit don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry, that was terrible.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Characters. Who are the characters? You have Van, the Sky Pirate, Ash, as well as Bosch and Baltier, Fran. Like, I don't even know who these characters are, honestly.
They really just fucking gave up on the names. Huh? It's almost like they just fucking just threw some darts at an alphabet and said, "All right, whatever sticks into a letter is what we're gonna name the guy."
Well, but then that leads into Final Fantasy 13, which is where I jumped back on. And is that a beer? Okay. Then they jumped into Final Fantasy 13, which is where I jumped back in, and wow, they made a trilogy out of that, and the first one was barely holding on, and then they made the second two, and those two just trash, absolute utter trash. It was a cash grab to begin, like from the get go. You had Cloud, Hope, not Cloud, no, Sky. That's it. Lightning.
Jesus, what? They really fucking gave up on the name.
Let me find the characters.
Cloud, here. Squall, fucking.
Final Fantasy 13 characters.
You know what? I gotta find out if Zidane is another name for some cloud shit.
Lightning, Sarah, Fang, Vanille, Snow, Hope, and Leroy, I think. What the fuck was his name?
Leroy Jenkins.
Saz. That was his name. Saz. So you had Hope, Fang, Vanille, Snow, Saz, and Lightning. 6 characters. And, it told an intriguing story, and the characters were relatable, but, like I said, it was barely holding on to my attention. And then it came out with 2 sequels where Lightning's sister, Sarah, what?
What's wrong with her that she gets such a normal fucking name?
Well, it's spelled Sareh. So anyway,
all right, okay, fair.
Yeah. So she goes after to try to find wherever Lightning disappeared to, because it seems like everyone has forgotten who she was. And then the third one was Sarah Returns, and it's just, or not Lightning Returns. That's what it was. But it was just, it was trash. It was a pure and simple cash grab. And then now you have Final Fantasy 15, which is, well, it's a problem when I'm trying to remember. Okay, Final Fantasy 14 is the big MMO game. Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn, and that's the one where the first and only times I've ever played it is when I was at E3. And the reason why is because when I played it in Los Angeles at E3, it was an intriguing game. And it had some cool characters to it. So I came home and bought it, and then realized that I had to buy the game and then pay for a subscription to play the fucking game. No. No, I'm not doing this. So
isn't that what they did with Final Fantasy 11 as well? You had to get the subscription as well after buying the game. I
don't know. I didn't play any of the online ones. Now they have Final Fantasy 15, where it is, they've gone back to the open world. It's 3 dudes chilling out in a car, and I don't know, whatever. It's ambiguously gay. it's
the ambiguously gay duo.
Trio. There's 3 of them.
Trio?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway.
Big'em, shits'em, stinkum.
We've been rambling on for 25 minutes now on Final Fantasy.
Jesus. All right.
There's 2 things I wanted to bring up, but one of them is actually really, really important. It's a short and sweet one too.
Sure.
It's the Austin bomber. So investigators and the FBI and CIA and all that stuff, and whoever was after him, were able to find him due to security footage, as well as being able to identify through the shipping packages and the shipping receipts when they were purchased from the packages that they had determined went through FedEx. As well, they were able to figure out when certain supplies were purchased from certain stores within a general area. They went to town on this to try to figure this out.
Well, I mean, that's one hell of a scare when you've got someone dropping packages like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really expect it.
No, and what they determined was all the packages were homemade. And what I mean by homemade is the fact that we're not talking about Simtex, or we're not talking about C4. We're talking about homemade explosives that were made in someone's garage. So being able to track down specific supplies through a close-knit group of stores is actually quite easy. So once they were able to figure that out, they actually had a suspect and got a warrant and triangulated his cell phone to figure out where he was. And then they tried to intercept him as he was leaving a hotel or some sort of office building. And as soon as he caught on, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hotel.
Yeah.
Motel. I think it was a motel.
As soon as he caught on that he was being followed, he detonated one of his own bombs in his car, and then I guess a cop like rolled up and like shot him or something like that. But by that time, he was already dead. So
maybe he was like in there screaming. Well, no, he might have been in there screaming, and you know, the cop was just like, "Well, he's dead anyways. I don't want to listen to this shit.
He might have another bomb.
He might have another bomb."
Yeah,
that's valid. I mean, shit. After what I did to the cops in emergency response training, the way I scared that one guy.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the way shit can change. I mean, assume the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the safest bet, especially in a job like that.
So the Austin bomber, dead, Caucasian male. I don't think. I didn't really look into whether or not he was claiming affiliation with any sort of terrorist group or whether he was just batshit insane. But the case is that he's dead. And he got caught for not being exactly the brightest cookie. He got away with 4 or 5 bombs, killed 2 people, killed.
He was a statistical serial killer.
Yeah, so
I figured he wouldn't get more than 5 or 6.
Well, he didn't. Not including.
Sorry, he wouldn't be able to do more than 5 or 6 explosives before he was caught.
Let me see if I can find out a little bit of information.
From what I remember about serial killers is, and I bet you he the last bomb. I don't know where the hotel was, but I bet you the last bomb was not too far from where he was staying.
He made a confession video.
As you go along, as serial killers go along, they first start out further away from home, and as they get more comfortable, they move closer and closer.
Yeah.
Police foundations. You've got information on this?
Austin bomber showed no remorse in confession video, lawmakers say.
Yeah.
Hold on a sec. The Austin bomber showed no remorse in the 25-minute matter-of-fact confession video that he recorded hours before he blew himself up. Captain Numbnuts, I refuse to give his name, 23 years old, planted a series of explosive devices in the state capital, killing 2 people and terrorizing the city for 19 days this month. On Wednesday, he ended his deadly spree after he detonated one of his own homemade devices inside his SUV. Since then, more details have emerged about the bomber, the type of bombs he used, and how he was finally cornered. The bomber went to the store on Sunday and made the mistake of parking within view of a surveillance camera that captured the vehicle's license plate. Surveillance photos from the mail delivery office on Sunset Valley showed this dipshit wearing a baseball cap, blonde wig, and pink gloves as he brought 2 packages into the store. Yeah, that's not suspicious at all. Investigators used cell phone technology to track down Captain Dumbass on Wednesday and confirmed that he had been to all the bombing locations. Major Dipshit had a list of addresses, but it was unclear whether they were political targets. Law enforcement have cleared all of these sites since.
Well, you'd think he'd have that information in his little manifesto. He would have declared whether it was political or not. That's usually what they do in their
There was a clear link. There was a clear link within the first 4 victims. And they were a part of the Mason family. And I don't mean like the
Freemasons. You mean the actual
like
the Mason.
Their names were Mason.
Like the Mason jar.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was targeted. But who knows why? Oh, let's look at this picture.
Wasn't one a tripwire and the other one was a package that exploded?
Well, that's the weird one. There was a weird tripwire one that happened randomly. No one was killed in that one, though. But
Yeah, that one threw me off when we were trying to figure out like what this guy's motives were and whatnot. I was like, damn, this guy's really changing it up.
Okay, so there's a photo of him on the CNN website, and he like, oh, for crying out loud, I hate it when videos audio play. He was rather built, Caucasian, wearing a blonde wig, and the pink gloves that they're talking about is actually the gardening gloves where the rubber mesh is on the inside. Which I guess is not that suspicious at all, right? All things considered. So, anyway, he's dead.
Well, yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
Yeah. So when it was all going on, actually, no, you know what? I'll save that story for after hours. I had an argument earlier today with someone where they said, sorry, I had stated that if you get rid of guns, but without addressing the issues,
yeah,
you're just going to have the killings continue.
Yeah.
It's just going to go to a different form, like bombs or chlorine gas. They're not going to go knives because knives require you to get up close and personal. Like you got to.
And these people are not up close and personal people.
No, they're going to do what they can do to stay far back and away, disassociate themselves.
Yeah.
Their argument was, they said I'm a fucking idiot repeatedly.
Who?
Twitter person.
Oh, okay.
Shit, what was I saying?
To get away,
I don't remember.
If you get rid of the guns, it's not going to get rid of the murders.
Right. And they said they're not going to go and build bombs because they'll stop once they find out how hard it is to make bombs, and they're only going to they're afraid that they're going to blow themselves up, so they're not going to do it. And I'm sitting there thinking like, didn't someone just use bombs to blow up a whole couple of different places? Like, it's really not that hard to make. There's thousands of fucking ways to make a bomb.
Yeah, it's science, it's chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, shit. If you go into Google and research how to make a bomb and then you blow some shit up, it's kind of fucking, the trail is gonna be kind of fucking yourself.
Well, it's like that dumbass that got caught a little while ago when he tried to Google search how to hide a dead body. You should know better than to drink on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Your best bet. Actually, no, I'm not going to give out any ideas. I've done a lot of like research into what over the years from police foundations and whatnot.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the criminal mind. Like, I love getting inside of people's heads and trying to figure out where they're coming from, so I can understand why they're acting as they do. Because really, that's the only way that you're going to solve things. Putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms doesn't solve shit.
No, it just, yeah.
That's why we have recidivism rates.
What's this?
For those that don't know, recidivism means repeat offenders.
What's this? 2 men in their 20s shot outside Mile End Tube Station.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another kind of good segue argument. Sorry, I'm just bringing the article up.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so 2 men in their 20s were shot outside a tube station in East London, UK, and rushed to the hospital last night. The latest violence to hit the capital happened around Mile End Underground Station at around 10:35 p.m. The attack comes after the city suffered its 8th murder in 7 days.
What?
8th murder in 7 days. It's one per day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Armed police were called to the scene where 2 men, 20 and 25, were suffering from gunshot wounds. Ambulance rushed both men to a nearby hospital where both men are said to be in stable condition. The Met said their anti-gang unit, Trident, is leading the investigation. That's kind of a badass name.
I like that sentence.
We're a 3-pronged attack because we're going to fuck you up.
That's right. Wow. What is going on in the UK?
just the other day as well, a man is stabbed in South London, 2 hours, just hours before the two shootings happened. All right, so my argument is really, really cemented by the fact that the UK has such strict laws that even the regular police can't have fucking firearms.
Yeah.
And there's people who were shot.
But on the same note of that is it's less is more in that situation. I mean, you are always, if someone's
Yes.
along the same argument that if someone is that motivated that they want to do some sort of act of terrorism, as batshit crazy as they may be, if they are motivated, they will find the resources to do something.
I'm just glad no one's fucking thought of any chemical warfare, because that shit is so fucking easy.
That's true.
Right? And honestly, it terrifies me that someone could walk into the janitor's school at my daughter's school, or the janitor's closet at my daughter's school, grab some bleach and ammonia, and fucking put a little bucket outside of each door. Yeah. You have the option of running out into chlorine gas or jumping out the third floor window. Like, the guns will pale in comparison the day that people start using chemical weapons, and people will then realize that guns and chemical weapons are not the fucking problem. I pray that people are that fucking smart, because it's not. Iceland, amazing. Gotta follow Iceland's idea. Ask people what they would rather be, or what they'd rather do if they weren't killing people.
Okay. You know, I'll follow you.
Maybe not worded like that.
I'll follow you on the argument that guns are not the problem. And the fact that, you know, I believe guns are not the problem. It's the access to guns that is the problem. If you make it easy for someone who is mentally unstable and has nothing better to do, or does not realize the consequences of doing something absolutely fucking crazy like firing into a concert crowd in Las Vegas, then you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will agree the U.S. laws are very lax.
They are.
Very lax.
They are. And that is...
The fact that they can get an RPG and a goddamn fucking grenade. Who the fuck is hunting Bambi with a goddamn RPG?
Well, I don't have to clean it. I just have to scrape
it's
it
coming
up.
red for it.
Exactly. But like, I'll agree in the fact that, like, just on the premise, the fact that guns are not the problem, because a static gun, a gun by itself, is not an issue. And, you know, guns don't kill people. People kill people. Yes,
sometimes guns can kill people if it's loaded and someone knocks it over and it fucking goes off.
But that is a valid argument, because if I am holding a gun, no one has to worry about me firing on them. If you are holding a gun, I don't have to worry about you firing on me, because I am not a threat.
That gun is always gonna have its muzzle direction in control.
Exactly, right? And I'm
fucking terrified of shooting someone.
I do agree on the fact. I do agree on the point that what? I do agree on the point that there has to be a lot of checks in place. You know, and it's one of the reasons why I respect the fact that, you know, military as well as the police have firearms on them. And it's because they are properly trained, and we are entrusting them to hold those firearms and use them properly. Do they always use them properly? Well, no, of course not, because they're human. They're not machines. And even machines mess up and they make mistakes. So there is a big argument. I'm strongly believe, though, that the obscene amount of guns and how simple it is to get firearms in the United States is a major, major problem. Me being Canadian, I mean, take my opinion for what it is. It's just my opinion. But there is a clear and present problem in the fact that an AR-15, which is the hot topic gun of our time right now, is very easy, apparently, to get. So...
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. What'd you forget?
Not something I forgot. I just decided I was going to go and grab it. and then see if I can put shit on it. Because do you remember me telling you the story about when I got my restricted license?
Yes.
And the fact that I got sent in for a review and it's because of my picture?
Yes.
I'm going to show you the picture.
Oh, fun.
You'll understand why when you see it, you're just like, no, don't give that man a gun. I swear to God, even if I saw it, I'd be like, nope, do not give that man a gun. Wait a minute, that's me.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have a gun.
Sorry, there's trying to tear something off here so I can just show the photo and not any of the personal information that goes with it. Jesus.
Come on, you got me in suspense here.
Okay. So now, keeping in mind, I need this I need the restricted handgun license because I'm going for police foundations.
Right.
So, kind of need it for work.
Right.
And 6 months later, I get the review back, and after it's all said and done, and I get my card, I realize this is entirely why.
That looks like a convict.
I look like I should not be allowed to have a gun.
Yeah. He lives in the forest. He doesn't talk to anyone.
It's actually kind of what it is right now.
Nah. You at least have Wi-Fi.
I live in an old kind of town and whatnot, and it's a lot of old people around here, so I generally try to stay quiet so I don't bother them.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, and then occasionally I give them a hand, but generally don't talk to them.
Yeah. Did you I would say keep that photo. You got to keep that photo.
That's my firearms license. I have to keep that.
Then it's perfect then.
Honestly, though, that actually worked wonders whenever I went to go visit my brother in jail.
How so?
Because you had to come in with 2 pieces of ID, right? So I'd come in with my driver's license and my firearms license, both rubbed down with alcohol. Just rubbed down to shit.
Why?
Everything I was wearing was rubbed down with rubbing alcohol and the whole works.
Oh, because you smoke pot.
Smoke pot, yeah. Yeah, so there was high potential that there was some THC somewhere on a belt and I mean, I was going so far because my brother told me, like, you fucking, the little steel nub things on jeans.
Yeah.
Wash those.
The rivets.
Yes, thank you. I could not what the hell to call it.
The steel nub things on jeans. The zipper?
Yeah, so everything's getting wiped down. But the reason that the card is so beneficial is because you cannot have a restricted license if you have a criminal record. So by simply displaying it, it says this guy does not have a criminal record.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to look in the system. It's right here.
That's actually kind of smart.
I never had any trouble anytime I went in. Not once. Didn't have to go for an extra special search or anything.
He's clean.
He's tall, though. He might be hiding something somewhere, sir.
Did you?
He's skinny. Look at the size of him. You'd see an Easter egg coming out of his ass.
I see something sparkly. Oh, sorry. That's just my jockstrap. How screwed up are platypus?
Oh, God was drunk that day, or he was high, and it was a bet with the devil.
Okay, so platypus has a duck bill. The babies are born with teeth. It's a mammal, and yet it lays eggs. It has a venomous claw that can actually take down small animals and cause severe discomfort in humans. It also has the tail of a beaver. It lives 75% of its life underwater, and it nurses its young. What?
Go ahead, finish. I have the answer for you.
It nurses its young through milk, yet it does not have teats.
I'm sorry.
What?
God is Swedish.
God is Swedish?
Yeah. And we've been wrong this whole time. It's not the Garden of Eden. It's the Garden of Ikea. Always got a couple fucking parts left over. And God was just like, fuck it.
Look, it's a bookshelf. Now it's a couch. So, with all this stuff to deal with the platypus, the platypus could actually have the answer for the majority of the superbugs that the human race is currently dealing with. What causes a superbug?
Overuse of antibiotics. Sorry, unnecessary overuse of antibiotics.
Yeah, or the other way around, where let's say that like I'm sick or whatever. If I need antibiotics, I will continue to take antibiotics until I start feeling better, and then I stop, not running out the actual full supply of antibiotics. Because all that does is it lets the most resilient of that virus or parasite or whatever survive, and then it grows and becomes much, much stronger. Which is
that's fair.
Lesson learned. If you get antibiotics, take them all.
Mm-hmm.
But
my daughter actually just had to be taking antibiotics, and you betcha we finished that whole damn bottle.
Good. So that's like one of the reasons why we have such superbugs. It turns out platypus milk could actually be a answer to some of these superbugs, and the reason why is because any other mammal out there who nurses their young through milk has teats, and so it's direct contact with the baby, and the baby gets all that nutrition all the way through. A platypus does not have teats. It secretes its milk through its sweat glands. Okay? So that means that the milk has to actually go and travel through water, and then the baby platypus has to consume it once it's already been exposed to an environment. So the platypus milk has developed over time and evolved over time to come with its own antibodies to fight off any infection before it gets to the baby.
I find that really intriguing and also terrifying at the same time.
Just a touch, yeah.
Maybe for different reasons, though. I mean, I find it terrifying because of our extreme overuse of things, and also our wanton disregard for history, evolution, genetic code, the things that take time to occur.
The evolutionary pyramid.
Just time in general. I mean, for instance, synthetic plants, synthetic THC. You'll never catch me touching that shit.
Mm-hmm.
We may have control on an atomic level. We don't have control on a subatomic level, and we really don't know what happens on a subatomic level during a plant's life cycle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So maybe there's subatomic nutrients that we're supposed to be getting.
Maybe, and maybe we're missing out on them.
Yeah, I want my vitamin charm and my vitamin strange.
Give me more vitamin R. For crying out loud. I can't believe we already spent we spent 25 minutes talking about Final Fantasy. What do you got going on for after hours tonight?
Tonight I'm going to be joined by John because Kelly is not available. So John is kindly filling in.
Cool.
John is a very intellectual individual. I've only had a chance to talk with him once, but I followed him on Twitter, and yeah, he's got some good insight. He's a grounded person.
And when's that start?
Sorry.
That's fine.
9:30.
At 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. This will be the first attempt, so I'm hoping right as soon as we're done here that I more or less hop into a call with him to make sure everything works and
troubleshoot.
Then give her a go, yeah. And if we're lucky, a little bit later on, we'll be having Kelly come in if we're still rolling. She's at something else that's it definitely takes precedent over over this.
Yeah. We need to work on what's going to happen next week, because next week is a long weekend, and I'll be working. I'll be broadcasting at the day job. So we'll have to.
Okay.
You and I are going to have to touch base as to how we're going to get around that.
Yes.
All right.
Maybe move to a new day or something like that. I don't know.
We can, and like I do have a plan, but I want to run it past you beforehand. But yeah, I got to wrap this up here, unfortunately.
Sure. All right. What do we call it?
Yes. What are we going to call this? Let's see. We talked about Final Fantasy. We talked about platypus. We talked about bombers, and we talked about gun control as well as the U.S. or the UK. So, what are we going to call this episode?
I definitely think we should include something about the platypus milk. Okay, so there's platypus milk, and then we were talking about Final Fantasy. I say scrap that.
Okay.
I can throw that in the description.
Fine.
The guns in the UK.
And
yeah, the gun control itself, the Austin bomber.
Yeah.
Blowing up like platypus milk? No.
You know what?
That's terrible.
You know what? I kind of like it. Blowing up like platypus milk. It's just like the new health food. Remember when acai was like the newest rave?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then kale and God.
Exactly. What is it now? Freaking peanut butter enemas or something. I don't know. I like it. I like it.
You have, all right.
I like it. Blowing up like platypus milk. Oh, you're just typing that in.
Yeah. I forgot to hit enter last time. I like to have the episode names just logged in the Discord.
Okay.
So
yeah, gotcha. Cool.
It's happened before with all the other episodes. But anyways, on the topic of other episodes, you can go to the website, wtfatta.blogspot.com, to find more information about the cast, the crew, and old episodes that are there. But if you want to find old episodes, you can also go to iTunes and YouTube. Find WTFATTA podcast, possibly, one of the two. You'll find the symbol. It's a little pyramid, little eye.
Looks
always
damn
watching.
good. Yes.
Looks damn good.
Yes.
Been there for a long time.
It has.
Never really wanted to change it. I like the coloring. Anyways, you want to send us an email. You got a question, comment, or concern. WTFATTApodcast@gmail.com. Oh, and Facebook and Twitter at WTFATTA. Search it. Find it. Blueberry, Stitcher, everywhere.
And
that's all.
I'm JD, the Media Jack. You can follow me all over social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and on Mixer. And this has been the Flipside, episode 419. Blowing up like platypus milk is the title of the episode. Thank you, Eli, for helping me out yet again, even if I'm feeling under the weather. I'm probably going to go out and grab myself like a yogurt and a coffee and hope for the best.
Thank you for hammering through this like a champ.
I try. I really do try. If you want to get in on the conversation during a live stream, by all means, you always can, because the chat is always active. And also, you want to leave a comment on your thoughts on this episode, any episode, or even questions, feel free to leave them in the description, in the comment section of the video, either on Twitch or on YouTube. And I'm not sure if Mixer has any sort of library. I think it's just strictly a live stream thing. But regardless, thank you so much for joining me, and continue to speak from the skull, and see you next time.